last one is Getaway Car. We're in the gate. And they're off in the American Pharoah Stakes presented by DK Horse. And it's a very fast start for Getaway Car. And Citizen Bull has good speed too. So those two hook up right out of the gate with McKenzie Street tugging along the inside in a lineup of 4. Mischief River is 3 deep going into the first turn. Show of Force in between those two. And Emerald Bay went 4 wide around them, just 3 lengths off the pace. Start Mow Up is at the back of the field. So Citizen Bull gets an easy lead going on to the backstretch under a snug hold 2, has it a length and a half. Getaway Car lets him go in second, and McKenzie Street is looking for some breathing room along the inside right next to Emerald Bay in 4th. It's another 2 back to Mischief River, 5th, heading to the half-mile pole, racing 3 lengths in front of Show of Force, who just went by Start Mow Up. There's a half-mile left to go, and Citizen Bull has it all his own way. Has it a length and a half to Getaway Car. Then it's McKenzie Street, still stride for stride with Emerald Bay. Emerald Bay takes third, 3 furlongs from home. Another 4 back to Mischief River, who's on the outside of Show of Force. Start Mow Up is far back. They're coming to the quarter pole. Citizen Bull means business. Leads the way by a length over Getaway Car, who's trying his best to close the gap. 4 more. Emerald Bay and McKenzie Street, top of the stretch. Martin Garcia still handwriting Citizen Bull. They've sprinted 3 clear of Getaway Car, followed by McKenzie Street, who picks it up a bit late, coming to the 16th pole, and it's Citizen Bull with a 3-length lead. Getaway Car did his best, but was second best. Citizen Bull punches his ticket in gate-to-wire fashion. Getaway Car was second, McKenzie Street and Emerald Bay.
Hey everybody, Ren Carruthers here with your Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday. Not only did you see Citizen Bull getting his ticket punched to the FanDuel Juvenile Future Stars Friday at Breeders' Cup November 1st, but you also saw Getaway Car, who had won the Best Pal a couple starts back, running second, both trained by Bob Baffert, but also both of them graduates of the training program of Eddie Woods. And he joins me now. Hi, Eddie.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Good, thanks very much.
How cool is that to have a grade 1 exacta there ahead of the Breeders' Cup?
Yeah, it's great to have it. We're fortunate to get nice horses from nice clients, and a lot of them pan out, and it was good to watch that again.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It had to be a real kick. What can you tell us about what it takes to get the foundation into horses like this so they can perform at grade 1 level at 2 years old?
First of all, you got to have the horse. If you don't have the product, doesn't matter what you do, it's not going to happen. And then you just go along and take care of them and bring them along nicely and put them into good hands when they go out west to Baffert, and away we go.
Well, people obviously liked what they saw with Citizen Bull. He sold for $675,000 as a yearling. What did you see in him physically when he came to the
He's
training
just a
center?
beautiful, well-balanced, strong, shapy horse.
Yeah. And Getaway Car also, that's another one that exited your training program. What can you tell us about him?
He was a bit more streamlined, kind of a leaner type of horse. They've changed now a lot since when we would have got him this time last year, and but they ooze quality in different ways.
So what is the whole starting process? So they go through the sale, and you also consign, but
Yes.
As far as the training side of the program goes for you guys there in Ocala, when they have first arrived to the farm, what is the standard of practice?
The standard of practice, like you take the SF horses, they all go to a farm in Kentucky and get turned out for 30 days prior to coming to Ocala. They then ship down here. We go ahead and break them slowly, bring them along. They won't get to the racetrack till about November. And we ease on and give them a good condition and give them a few weeks off over the holidays. Bring them back and have them ready to go if possible. They'll have all been 2 or 3 3/8 and ready to move on out the end of March to beginning of April, most of them.
What do you need to see from them to move them forward in the process? I mean, it's not just a physical measure. It's got to be a mental one as well,
No,
correct?
the mental thing is probably more than 50% of the package. We've had so many good looking horses through
Yeah.
here, and the heads couldn't take it, so they stress and they don't allow themselves to be nice horses. Whereas most of the good horses, apart from fillies, most of the good colts are very calm about stuff, level about stuff, and take things in their stride quite easily.
Well, you have trained a lot of really great horses. I was convinced that Big Brown was going to win the Triple Crown. I was. Uh,
Me too.
what did happen in the Belmont? I've heard so many things, like a bent shoe. I've heard so many things. Do you know?
I think that Jock overtaught it.
Oh, okay. Maybe thought it was in the bag. I thought it was in the bag because I remember Casino Drive scratched that morning, and I thought,
Yeah, no, there
okay,
was a lot of things there. It all went to hell when he tried to take him back on the first turn,
yeah,
and whereas he was the best horse in the race, and he should have rode him like the best horse in the race and just dominated the whole race.
yeah.
Didn't happen.
Oh, well, you've also trained the likes of Lady Eli. How was that getting her started? Because she was notorious for her attitude.
She was a tough individual, tough as you can get, really. Not in a common way or anything. She was her own woman, and
Yeah.
you just had to. We got a really good crew, and I got one good guy who does all the tough fillies, and he did her Jesus, and you just had to be aware she was there every day.
Yeah. Got to kind of sweet talk her a little bit. I remember going to the Chad Brown barn and they had a literal cone in front of her stall.
But she was mean. She's
Yeah.
nasty.
Which it made it all the more incredible because I mean, if there are some people out there who are kind of new to racing, Lady Eli, she won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. She had this great career, and then she had an awful episode with laminitis, and laminitis has killed a lot of horses. Thanks to the care there of the team, she was able to be brought back, and she ran an incredible second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf later. So it was a really incredible story as it was, but the fact that she had to have this type of care with that type of attitude that she had, I know Cherie DeVoe was working with Chad at the time, and
Right.
yeah, it was just night and day to get her back.
It was an amazing thing. It was an amazing effort to get her back. Most of the horses to get a nail in their foot and end up with laminitis,
Yeah.
most of them are done. Lucky to live, never mind come back and be a racehorse. And it's the testament to the people who took care of her and to her own toughness.
Oh, for sure. Another star horse that you helped get going, get that foundation in, is Midnight Lute, two-time Breeders' Cup Sprint winner,
Beautiful looking horse.
champion
Big,
sprinter.
tall, black horse. Gorgeous horse. Tom McGreevy bought him as a year-old, and we couldn't get him sold as a 2-year-old. He didn't work
Really?
with. He
Why
didn't
not?
work with. But he come from last every time. He was always last, and he was always in front where he counted.
Yeah. Oh, and how cool is it to see his progeny continue on, right?
Yeah, they've done well. You know what I mean? He's had some nice horses. Probably a bit little unlucky that there wasn't a couple more, but he's done quite well.
Yeah. And Spring in the Air, Sovereign Champion, 2-year-old
Yeah,
filly.
yeah, nice filly. Bit of a brown wrapper kind of filly, plain kind of thing, but could run some.
Well, before we talk more about some of the horses to come out of the program, let's talk about you and how you got involved in horse racing to begin with. It's family. Your father was a trainer. He rode steeplechase. You rode steeplechase for a while.
Yes, for about 15 years, and it's the business. It's the family business. It's what we were
Yeah.
in, and it's what we do. And we've been fortunate. It went well for us.
Well, I know your son David. He works for FanDuel, and
Correct.
he's behind the lens for a lot of the biggest moments that we see go and be broadcast on the network. And he actually came here to film. They were doing the anniversary packages for the Breeders' Cup, and I thankfully got to talk about Wise Dan, and he came out here and filmed. And he's just a great guy. How cool is it for you to see him, finding his own niche in the sport?
It's great. To see your kids do well is always good.
Yeah. So tell us about, making the jump from Ireland here to the States, and you are based in Ocala.
Right. Needed a job. Um, like every other rider in the world, when you're done riding, you're qualified for nothing. And so came over here, had some contacts over here, and try something different. Ireland and England is a very much a closed shop, and it's really hard to achieve a lot of stuff without a lot of people behind you. And whereas here, as they say, it's the US dream, you know what I mean? It happens in this country where it doesn't happen in other places.
Well, Ocala also, I think a lot of people don't realize just how deeply entrenched the horse culture is there.
It's vast.
Yeah.
And you're right, a lot of people, they think we're in the middle of nowhere, and we're kind of right sometimes. But it's from a horse point of view, it's the training center of the United States.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. The weather is quite often nice. How did you fare through Milton though?
We fared really well. Milton did us a favor and went south, unfortunately, for people
Yeah.
who were like 100 miles south of us. And we had very minor damage, some limbs and bits and pieces, but nothing of any consequence.
Well, I actually have where I can share the screen here and show the training facility there. What was it like taking this all on? I mean, was it 240 acres?
Correct.
Wow.
It was great fun.
Yeah?
Yeah,
What went into it? Yeah.
You know, getting the land and just building the whole place and everything and laying it all out and changing your mind 10,000 times and moving stuff and I'm, quite happy with the way it came out. Very proud of it.
Oh, you should be. It is beautiful. You see the round pens there. You see just the beautiful landscaping, the training track. What is the training track made of?
The training track is made of its base is 12 inches of ballpark clay, compacted down to about 10. It took 980 loads
Oh my
to do the
gosh.
track, and then it's probably got a 6-inch cushion of natural dirt that's compacted down, and it would leave us with probably a 4-inch cushion, but there's a 2-inch sub base between it and the red clay.
Wow. Yeah, it's beautiful, and I can only
Thank you.
imagine the maintenance that goes into the entire property. I can go on and show you more here on the website. Everybody, if you want to check it out, eddywoods.com. But yeah, you've got the About Us, the sales calendar, the 2024 consignments, and then our success. If you go there, we already talked about Big Brown, Lady Eli. You also had Left Bank. We talked about Midnight Lute, Spring in the Air. But check this out, everybody. When you go back and you look at the list of horses that have come through your hands, you got to kind of take a moment for yourself, I would think, to be appreciative of all the work that went into this.
It's appreciative of all the people that sent them here more than anything, And, like I said earlier, we've got a lot of fantastic clients. And we deal with a lot of high-end, well-bred horses, and it makes it a little bit easier.
Well, who's been the most difficult horse for you that ended up, you really had to get after them, but you put the work in and they ended up coming through for you and being the star you thought they could be?
We've already spoken about her.
Okay, there you go. Lady Eli, right?
Yeah.
You also had Authentic, I see.
Authentic is a lovely horse.
Yeah. So, I mean, what was that like? Because also, I mean, how closely do you track the horses once they leave you?
Right till the end.
Yeah, because that had to be a really cool experience, because with Authentic, they also brought in the My Racehorse fans. And that had to be kind of neat to see a horse get so much love that had come through your training program, where people felt that they really had a piece of it.
Yeah, no, that was quite a neat experience. For him to develop into such a nice horse, because unfortunately, I think the year benefited him. It was the COVID year, so everything got backed up, and it gave him a little bit more time, and it worked in his favor, but it didn't take away from how good he was.
Yeah, no, I mean, and a beautiful horse too. I remember watching him win the Classic, and my jaw just dropped because as he came by, he didn't look tired at all.
It was an amazing race.
Yeah, absolutely. I have some comments here. Should show those. Everybody, this is a live show, so if you have a question or comment for Eddie about how these horses get started or what he looks for in a potential star, feel free to ask your question. Oscar, he's just got the running horses. John, excellent interview, you and Eddie. Perfect match for this interview. Great information. Thank you so much, John. Saludos. Well, hello, Raul. Thank you for watching. And then Silver Charm. I was a big fan of both Midnight Lute and Big Brown. Yeah, really cool horses. So when you're looking at the lay of the land right now, in terms of the shows specific to the 2-year-olds that are going to run on Future Stars Friday, but what does it look like to you? You've obviously trained a vast number of really, really talented 2-year-old horses. What do you think it takes to keep them going through into the late part of the year here to come through at the championships?
It's a tough deal. As we've seen over the years, only so many make it. And you just need a good, sound, solid horse. And they have to have a bit of speed, but they got to get to 2 turns.
Well, what have you noticed over the years in terms of the breed? People keep talking about the breed's not as sound as it used to be. Do you think that's true? Do you think maybe things have just changed in terms of how horses are trained? What's your opinion on it?
No, I think it's true. I think it's the way we've bred them. Everything's been for speed. But years and years ago, all the big races were the stamina races.
Yeah.
We didn't have a Breeders' Cup until can't remember how many years
84.
ago. Yeah, but everything ended in the fall, and everything picked back up on the east side of the country, down in Hialeah, way back when, and in Hollywood Park and everything in California. Both places now gone. But as we've gone along, everything's lent towards speed, and you'll see a lot of the great horses that are into speed sires, like Raisin Native, Mr. Prospector, Stormcat. Stormcat ran more than most of them. But a lot of them horses only ran 5 and 6 times. Brilliantly fast, extremely good looking, very talented horses. And that's where it starts to go wrong. They're passing on their own little defects. They're passing on their own brilliance. And when they're really, really quick, the quicker they are, the better chance they have of hurting themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the idea of just coming apart, shuddering. Yeah.
No, it's just the joints, the bone, everything like that. The quicker you're going, the harder it's hitting, the better chance you have of doing damage.
So is that just something that are you seeing any type of change as, people have made more note of that over the past couple of years? Have you seen strives to try to get back to a more solid?
The only thing I think we've seen that's changed a bit, and in this country, is how strong turf racing has become.
Yeah,
they're leaning towards that. Horses stay around longer. When you get them fit, they don't need as much training as the dirt horses, and they're kind of a leaner kind of horse, and they just stay around.
Yeah,
they run for great money.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of people go over to like Tattersalls and bring horses back.
I think there were more Americans in Tattersalls last week than there was Englishmen. It was amazing.
Yeah. It looked incredible. I've never been to the sales over there, but it looks like a really good time. It looks like there's a lot of quality stock going
Big
through
time.
there. Yeah, and we have some more questions. This is actually the husband. What was your breakthrough horse that took you to the next level? Also, how many employees do you have?
The breakthrough horse would have been Big Brown, because we owned him ourselves and we sold him ourselves. So he was the one that, with a few that before that, prior to that, we had the trifecta in the Louisiana Derby a couple of years before that, and that kind of stuff like that. And but he was the horse that just bust out.
Yeah.
And maybe even before him, Left Bank. Left Bank was a serious horse. He then died of colic, unfortunately. And employees, we have when we're full, about 72.
Oh my goodness. It was a huge operation there. Going back to Big Brown, I recently saw that he was moved to over back here to Kentucky.
Correct, to old friends, I think.
To old friends. And when's the last time you got to see him up close and personal?
Been a long time.
Yeah. Did you
Can't remember
next
when.
time?
Long time. I seen him in Three Chimneys one time when he stood there originally, and that's the last time yeah, that's the last time I'd have seen him.
He's just I mean, not to keep belaboring the point, but again, I was convinced he was so cool. I mean, he was just this big, beautiful horse. I remember the white spot on him,
Hmm.
and he just looked like I don't know how to explain it. There was just that je ne sais quoi, right?
Yeah, he was
And
a
I
very charismatic horse. He was went everywhere with his ears pricked, um, and he was a big, kind, gentle horse.
oh, was he?
Lovely
That's
horse.
nice to know too. I mean, because all these horses have different personalities for sure. I mean, we already went over, for example, Lady Eli being kind of tough, but so talented, and then some of these horses are just love bugs, but yet they're vicious on the track with their competition.
Right, competitive. That's what makes them good. You know what I mean? It's they're quiet. They don't really care about stuff. But when it comes to it, they step up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Silver Charm has two questions actually. Who are some of the underrated sires?
There's a lot of them. You know, there's a lot of. You know, we're in a very, what would you call it? You have to be the fashion. You know what I mean? If you're not the
Mhm.
talking horse, you know, there's a lot of good stallions out there, and has been for a long time. Down to come up with their names, that's another story. Upstart is Upstart is a nice horse. Concludes a nice horse. Connect. Um, there's several of them there that are just they don't. They always seem to get winners, but they don't just seem to nail the top end. You know,
Yeah. Well,
you got Gun Runner and Into Mischief and everything like that, and they're brilliant. Curlin is amazing. Um,
yes.
you know, and they kind of carry all the cream.
I should mention because you just mentioned Into Mischief. Into Mischief is the sire of Citizen Bull, and in the other thing that's kind of cool about Citizen Bull, his female family also produced Favorite Trick, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and was
Correct.
actually Horse of the Year at 2 years old. So that's pretty cool.
Correct.
It's nice when a horse has got the Breeders' Cup ped cred, as I say. But also, you're talking about underrated sires. It's kind of neat. So two of the horses that exited your program that are owned by Little Red Feather, Thought Process and Iron Man Cal, they're both
Correct.
by Collected.
Yeah.
Thought Process, she, since being moved to the turf, she's 3 for 3.
Mhm.
And won the Surfer Girl Stakes. That's not an official win, and you're in,
No,
but she's going to go to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies
she'll
turf.
be tough in there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what do you think of this filly? I mean, that was a really nice one. I actually have the stretch here. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I got it. Yes. And she just was dominant in this race. So I mean,
I don't think we've seen the best of her yet.
yeah.
She's always been really nice. She's always the sweetheart of a thing, and you know, she's like I said, she'll be tough here next time round.
No, she was lovely there, and Billy Koch and the whole Little Red Feather team. They're a load of fun. I've had Billy on
Exactly.
this show
They have
before.
a big time wherever they go.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I also like that this filly, Billy, if you happen to be watching, this filly is born on my birthday. So that's another
Perfect.
reason why. So she'll have to go up against.
There you go.
Yeah, she'll have to go up against one of the monsters coming over is for Aiden O'Brien, Lake Victoria. Have you been watching this filly overseas at all?
Yeah, you know, we watch all the racing just because we have to, and
Mhm.
you know, the European horses are better turf horses than the American ones, and all, and they've proven that time and time again. Now, what they bring, it just depends on what they bring. They got a lot
Mhm.
of nice horses, a lot to choose from. A lot of them, some of the better ones won't come because they're going to want to keep them for the guineas in the spring and everything. And it's a
Right.
tough haul to come to California. It's so far in November and after October into November, and then go back home again and recuperate to get ready to run for your life in May.
Yeah.
It's a tough goal, and but they will bring nice horses. They always have.
Well, what do you think, just having seen racing up close on both sides of it, um, City of Troy coming for our classic? Because I think I don't see any reason why you can't take to the dirt.
It's a great story. He's a fantastic horse. He'd one bad day in his life. Um, he's going to run a big race. I don't know if he wins it now or not. but he'll run a big race. And he looks like an all-round class act.
Yeah. Gary Stevens, after that work at Southwell, said, "Man, he's a machine." And I mean, just the way he flicks those legs, just beautiful.
Beautiful moving horse, very economical moving horse. He was. I remember watching him win first time out as a 2-year-old. It was like a holy.
What is it to the untrained eye? What would you tell somebody who hasn't really watched horses the way that you intimately have? What is basically the layman way to say, okay, what you're looking at is a nice moving horse? What do you want to see?
So hard to explain.
I know, right? I've tried to also. It is tough.
Their feet have to stay low to the ground. Barely come off it, and be an extension of the toe and good push from behind. And they're like human athletes. You've never seen a big sloppy person be a good athlete. They're tight, tough.
Yeah.
Just so hard.
I know exactly what you mean. It's really tough. And I know some people put more emphasis, for example, with the yearlings on a walk than other people do. Do you have big emphasis on the walk or no?
Yeah.
You do.
That comes from home. You know what I mean? You never buy a horse that didn't have a big fluid walk, even though you kind of get away from it a little bit here, because some of the really good sprinters are not big walkers.
Yeah.
They're not shufflers or anything like that. They just don't have that big old swooshy sway to them that the 2-turn horses have, but they'll still have an athletic way of moving.
Do you have a preference? Do you like the turf horses more? I mean, you've had so much success with the dirt horses as well, coming out of your program. But
I love the turf horses. They're great fun. They're like I said, they stay around longer, but economics lean you towards the dirt.
Yeah, well, Silver Charm. I hear what you're saying. Any stories about Frosted?
Frosted is the quietest tappet we've ever had, because tappet can give you a handful. And beautiful looking horse. Probably he's getting plenty of winners and he's doing well. I thought he was going to be a superstar as a stallion, for as good as he was as a racehorse. It just hasn't quite gone that way. But still doesn't make him. He's still a very nice horse.
Very nice horse. Friends of mine, we probably know the Greens, John and Len Green.
Quite well.
DJ stable. And so they just had their filly Winterberry, who is by Frosted.
Right.
She just won the Gloria Song Stakes. So that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frost, I think he's gorgeous. I mean, who can forget that, that Travers? Just a really, really cool horse. And like you said, I thought he was going to be the heir apparent to Tappet too, but he's been a solid sire.
Yeah.
For sure.
He could just done with another couple of top end horses.
So going to Ironman Cal. Now this is a horse, he did officially win the Zuma Beach, but it was through a disqualification, but he was right there.
He got mugged. He deserved to get moved up.
Yes, and I do not unfortunately have the head on of this race. It's only the pan shot, so you guys can't really see what happens with the bumping. But this is another one out of your program, and I should say both this one and Thought Process, trained by Phil D'Amato for Little Red Feather, and right. I believe Phil just hit a milestone too.
1,000 winners.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. So Thought Process, yes, and so this was a pretty big day or weekend for Billy and the team there at Little Red Feather.
Oh yeah. No, and they got another one too. What's the other one they have? We didn't have it. I don't think.
Gosh, you know what? I can't think of it. I know what you're talking about. I know if Matt, if you're still watching, maybe he can pop it up there for me. But it's got to feel really rewarding to just see these horses show their quality when they do leave you. I mean, obviously, like you said, you're going to follow them through their career. Have there been any that kind of surprised you? I mean, they got through the program. Maybe you didn't think that they were going to be a megastar, but a good horse, and they just ended up being awesome.
I think Ironman Cal has done way better than I thought he'd do. I thought he was a nice kind of horse. As I said to Billy, he's a youthful sort. He continues to bring it up. And and he's gone beyond where we thought he'd go. And you get that occasionally. Mainly, a lot of that happens on the grass more than anything.
Yeah.
And the other thing that'll get in the way every now and then that'll make you look stupid are the little brown fillies. They'll just way overachieve compared to what you thought they were when you had them at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And oh, by the way, I misspoke earlier. I meant Frosted in the Whitney, y'all.
That's
Sorry.
right.
I have to correct myself. It's hard, you talk about all these horses, different years, different,
Yeah, quite.
Yeah. So how do you keep it all straight when you've had so many horses through your program that have done big things? I know another one that I absolutely love and adore, who was a big fan favorite, was Whitmore.
Whitmore was a character, and then there's a horse we thought was useless, I have to say. And,
Oh no. Ron Moquette.
he knows.
Yeah.
And he was a very, very difficult horse, actually. He had to be gelded for reasons. He'd make him comply. And Ron done a fantastic job with him, brought him around and turned him into the super horse that he was. He's still quite a character, apparently, and but he's a very talented horse.
Oh yeah. And I remember we won the Breeders' Cup Sprint, cheering in the stands so loud you would have thought I was one of the ownership. But he's just a cool horse.
Yeah, no, he's a good looking horse and very, very talented.
And I remember he had a different name though. They renamed him.
I wish you hadn't asked. I could have told you.
Oh,
Yes,
I
he was
know.
renamed.
It was something like somebody's name. It was like a two-part name. I
It
can't
was a
remember.
two-word name, and I can't remember it.
Pleasant something, I think.
No.
No? We'll figure it out. Ron,
Yeah,
if you're
exactly.
watching, chime in. But we actually have almost 1,000 people watching us live right now. So that's pretty
Very
cool,
good.
especially with it being 3 PM here on the East Coast. So how many horses do you currently have on the grounds there?
On the grounds right now, we have 100 and probably 135, 140.
Wow. Okay. And are these I mean, because you do a lot. Like, not only do you do the training, putting in the foundation of the horses before they go to the racetrack, but you do again consignment for sales and whatnot. Is there a part of the whole process that you enjoy most?
It's great when you sell one for a lot of money, I have to say that. But the enjoyable part of it is like this time of the year when we're breaking them
Yeah.
and watching how they do. Pleasant Mel,
Pleasant Mel, that was it. Yes.
courtesy of my son.
Oh,
Um,
tell him thanks.
but watching them change, because they changed significantly all the way through the winter. Some for the better, some not so good. But watching all that happen and noticing it happening, and thinking, oh, this is going to be a really nice horse, or oh my God, we might be in trouble here. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of it.
Well, that's another question for you. I mean, thankfully, like you said, the hurricane did not affect the training facility, but there obviously had to be preparations because didn't know until kind of was it the night before that it was going to take a turn.
Well, you watch it carefully as we do. You know that this time of year we live by the Weather Channel,
Yeah.
and you just kind of. We're fortunate in Ocala. By the time it gets to Ocala, it's never a hurricane. It'll be a tropical storm,
Hmm.
and we'll get a lot of wind and freeze down. And the worst thing that you can get, unfortunately, touch wood, we've missed them, is a tornado.
Yeah.
But you just tie everything down, make sure the horses roll up, everything, nothing to blow around, and just be sensible about things.
Yeah. Because I mean, especially, it's hard enough with horses, let alone these are babies for the most part.
Yeah, but they're very. A lot of people don't realize how versatile the thoroughbreds are. They can
Mhm.
adapt to a lot of things really quickly.
Oh my goodness. Well, can you tell me what you've got next coming up? And as far as there's a whole sales calendar that goes through the end of the year into next year. What are we looking at?
Well, there's one more yearling sale, the October sale in Fasig Tipton. We've about 1,000 horses in that or thereabouts. And then after that, you have your breeding stock sales, the fancy ones coming up in November in Fasig Tipton and Keeneland. But our next main goal will be the March sale in Ocala,
Yeah.
followed by the April sale in Ocala. apart from getting our horses ready to go to the races.
And there have been some changes now to basically the sales format. There's been there's been an effort to make sure horses coming in are, free of anything that might, be off-putting to a buyer in terms of getting them, sales prepped.
Yeah.
Also, they're now offering gallops. Well, actually, I didn't know this before. The gallop was always something that you could do instead of a breeze. But now it's just put out there in a more official manner that you can put in a horse for a gallop instead of a breeze. How do you feel about all of that?
Selling the horses that are just galloping is going to be really tough. Most of the people coming to the 2-year-old sales, they're all looking for speed. The clock is everything. It's actually got overdone. So much is judged on not the actual breeze time, but the gallop out time, and that's so hard on babies. They're expecting you to go out further and further all the time, which is ridiculous. But anyway, because I think if you really know what you're doing and know what you're looking at, you don't have to see the whole omelet to know it was made by eggs. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that part made it tricky. The rules that have been changed mainly in OBS with the medication and everything like that. That's all for the better. It's not as bad as it was always made out to be, because bad news travels really fast and good news crawls along. And so everyone hinges on the headlines, if you want to put it that way. But anyway, things have gotten addressed, and it'll be all for the better.
No, that's exciting, because I always love the sales. I love seeing who might be the next star to make the track, and it's just it's a time of hope. You're seeing all these horses there on the backside of the sales, and I don't know. Do you have anything in terms of when you are looking at these horses? Primarily going back to talking about yearlings, because with the 2-year-olds, like you said, you can see them actually under tack. But in terms of confirmation, there are some people have said, well, this is a deal breaker for me if this horse is back of the knee, over the knee, crooked. Is there something for you? Is just absolute no? Will not.
I think first impressions are huge. The minute that horse walks out and stands up, you're either for him or you're not a lot of the time. And then you go to critiquing him. Knees are a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, offset, not offset.
Offset, back of the knee, bench knee. They're a big deal. And we'll buy some flat through the knees. But the knee is the joint that ends everything. You know what I mean? When the horses chip their knees and all that, you can get through with the ankles and all the rest, but the knee is the deal. So they got to be pretty good boned under the knee and be pretty correct through there.
And the other question I have is, some horses have corrective procedures.
Right.
And how do you feel about that?
I'm good with that. We've had several nice horses through here that have had corrective procedures in their early months as foals or short yearlings, and it has not affected them in any way. I think actually they've benefited from it, as in it put the joint on properly, so to speak.
And when you do it young, I mean, that's the other thing that's always been a misconception, I felt like, with people who didn't actually raise horses. Oh, these 2-year-olds, running and whatnot. It's like, well, that you've got to get the bone modeling, which hardens and
it's they forget about it. It's not that long ago where they were running 2-year-olds in January and February down in Gulfstream Park, and things have just evolved away from that. So to say that we've been too hard on them for 2-year-old sales is a misconception, and some people just don't get it.
Well, there have been a lot of studies on bone modeling and how it is beneficial for the longevity of the horse in the long run. But I do agree with you. I do see a lot of turf racing being pushed to the forefront, which I really enjoy. And I think that's, obviously a reason why we're seeing a lot more international competition coming over here throughout the year, not just for the championships. It's cool. When we see Charlie Appleby and William Buick coming over, and trying their horses out in a variety of races that we offer here in the United States, well ahead of November, which, we used to have to wait for that.
Yeah, no, purse has got a lot to do with that. In
Yeah.
Europe, especially in Ireland and England, the purses are not great. They're actually pretty poor
Really?
for the standard of horse that you got to run against. We've seen that there's really basically no claim in racing, and so you can go to any small track and run into Aiden's Galileo, and good luck with that, and you're running for £4,000. And whereas the bringing the better horses over here, they're running for 250,000, 300, 400,000 every weekend, and that's what makes it go.
Golly, yeah, I mean, that's a great point. Absolutely. In terms of the championships, apart from the 2-year-olds I already mentioned, are there any other horses on the Future Stars Friday card that have come out of your program that we should be keeping our eye on that'll be running there? Then what's the older horse contingent look like?
I think we covered the 2-year-olds. We have, I think, 11 horses altogether that look like they might show up at the weekend or over that weekend. And some of the SF horses, probably Newgate in the Classic.
And National Treasure, where do you think is he going to go? The mile? Dirt mile?
I think so. I'm not sure.
Mm.
National Treasure, I would say probably the mile, and Prince of Monaco the sprint. Got a couple of horses coming over. There's one horse coming from Japan, Metamax. We sold him in OBS.
Really?
He's coming for the sprint. And we got Cabo Spirit in the turf. And Raging Sea and Honor D Lady in the distaff, but they'll be in tough with Idiomatic and Torpedo Anna. And that's about it.
Well, that's exciting, though. What can you tell us about the Japanese program? I mean,
getting better and better. They have us beat on pedigree because they've bought they've tried to buy just about every good filly or every good race mare that's come through here. Actually, there's one coming for the sprint. Don Frankie, I'd sold the mother, We Miss Frankie, to Peter Urton.
Yes.
And he's coming for the sprint, which is kind of cool. And but they've got a lot of horses entered. They showed up before and showed us how to do it. They were very good in Europe this year, and like I said, they got all the pedigrees.
They have, yeah. No, they've been doing that for years. Buying our best mares. I mean, when you still look at what happened with Sunday Silence.
I know that's a crazy story, and I think that was like just a magical thing that happened in its own way. No one foreseen that happening, and it just did. I think if anyone had thought that was going to happen, he'd never have left Stone Farm. But he did, and it's turned into a dynasty. And the Japanese were famous for buying the good race fillies who maybe didn't have the pedigree, because the Coolmores and the Godolphins were rounding them up. But now they've stepped away from just the good race mare. Now they're buying the horses with the proper pedigrees also. And we're going to see more and more of them, and that'll be good.
I think it's great. Do you know anything? Because it looks to me like their training program is it's something completely of itself as well.
Can't speak for that. Never been there. I know they do things a little differently, and when they bring their horses over here, and you watch the reports of what they do with them on the track, you're kind of shaking your head a little bit. But who says they're wrong and we're right?
Yeah.
It's just a different way of doing it. Did they train horses differently in Europe to the way they do it here? And here they come. So there's so many different ways of doing things, I suppose, and it's just whatever works for you.
No, I think it's really cool because when we do have these people coming in from different parts of the world, it puts the emphasis on the world championships, of course.
All right, no. The more countries, the better. There's even a nice horse coming from Germany this year, the horse that ran in the Arc. They ran him in the Arc because they didn't want to pay the €55,000 fine to scratch him because of the ground. But he's a really nice horse. Fantastic Moon, I think, is his name.
I think, yeah, that sounds right too. But
I didn't. German horse coming. They're coming from everywhere.
And it's awesome. Are you going to go to the Breeders' Cup? No.
You
can have a watch party?
No, we'll just watch it all and hope for the best.
And is there anything, I mean, in terms of when you've had your hands on a, future, on a horse that then goes on to become a champion, what type of recognition do you and your team get?
Not too much.
Oh,
Not really, it's right. We're here to do a service.
yeah.
We're in the service industry of herding horses for our clients, and the people that need the recognition are the people that put up the money to buy these horses and to train these horses, and that's the way it should be. And I do think owners don't get enough recognition, for the most part, and on our FanDuel and TVG in the past, they're inclined to talk a lot about the same owners all the time. And where there's lots of other people who put a lot of money into it and just don't have the same flair or the same magnetism for publicity, but they still deserve a mention. They've been in it a long time, most
Oh,
of them,
yeah.
and spent a lot of money.
Oh, that is for certain. But I would say, I mean, it would be nice, when we have our Eclipse Awards, if we had some sort of an industry award for, the training centers, because a horse, when they're that impressionable, that young, the first paces they're put through, it's going to imprint on them. I mean, they've done studies. Horses remember.
Yeah, you can ruin a horse as quick as you can make one. No, you can ruin one quicker than you can make one.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of good places down here to get a lot of good horses ready.
That's true. I've been out to Lamb South a lot with Junior Cerna before he
Right.
retired, and
Yeah.
he had some great stories.
Yeah, one cool gentleman right there.
Oh, undoubtedly. But I just want to thank you for your time. We have over 1,000 people watching us live right now. So I want to thank
Very good.
everybody for tuning in and getting insight, because it's just fun to do something a little different. I've had owners on, I've had trainers on, I've had jockeys on. I've even had a jockey's agent. I've had Ron Anderson on before, so that was fun.
Right.
But it's really cool to get the perspective of somebody who gets these horses and is actually the one who's, putting that initial honing in to before that masterpiece is fully revealed. You're getting in there with that chisel and you're trying to carve this horse out.
Yeah, well, we have the help of a whole team of people to do it. And,
Yes.
If you don't have good help and top end help, it's really hard to get the job done the way you want it done. You can't be playing catch up because everything's kind of got it doesn't go through seamlessly because we're dealing with animals and humans, but you got to keep it as seamless as possible. And the better the help, the nicer the horse you have, the easier it is.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. And they, as you're saying, they are animals, but at the same time, they're animals that do thrive on routine.
Quite. Very much so.
And, before I let you go, I'll just let you have last word here. Really quick, Silver Charm says, thanks, enjoyed it. Well, thank you for watching, Silver Charm. And is there anything that you would like people to know about, what you do that maybe they don't understand that you wish they did, or something that you would just like to say regarding, what
we'd be here all day. There's just so much, I can't explain it. There's just so much.
Well, is there maybe one thing in particular that for sure you want them to be left with this bit of knowledge?
If you don't feed them right, you'll have nothing.
I mean, I think that goes for everybody.
Yeah, no, nutrition is a huge deal.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is, in all seriousness, a huge thing, because you're building, what you eat is what you are, right? And so they're
correct.
Is there a secret to what you feed them? You don't have to share.
No, we feed an OBS sweet feed, a blend that's very, very good. It's been seriously researched and made to work for what we do. And then the horses are on an individual basis. You got to change for their needs.
Yeah.
You just can't broadcast it all over the farm and here you are. You got to give them little bits of whatever they need. It's a touchy deal.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there was a feed, I think, a while back that, for example, one of the things that you guys have to manage with horses who are developing with like OCDs and stuff like that, right?
Right. That's, the OCDs are kind of, when they get to us, they either have them or they don't. It's very rare that one shows up as a yearling going to a 2-year-old to develop an OCD. On the odd occasion, or the odd occasion one that has had an OCD, it will react angrily, and then you have to take care of that. But a lot of the stuff there with the joints and everything like that, you got to be very careful you can't go too high in the protein. It'll, make things flare. It's a kind of, how would you put it? It'd be like giving him gout or something to put it into
yeah.
late terms. You know what I mean? Too
Yeah.
much of the rich stuff. It'll make things react like that, and then you got to wait for all that to go away and all that kind of stuff. And so everything's got to be balanced.
Well, yeah. And I would think it also affects their mood too, what they eat, right? If you eat something that.
Well, it does, yeah. You know what I mean? You can get them a bit too high and a bit too fresh, and that's the high protein thing again. And you just got to keep things even, level.
Oh, even in level is always good. Again, I would urge anybody, if you do have a horse, do you still take horses from just people calling in and looking, or do you
we do all the time, yeah.
Okay, because I was just right, because for example, my salon, the person who does my hair, they're booked. Like they can't take any more clients at this point for their specific chair.
Well, we get to a certain stage every year. Well, fortunately, we've a steady set of clients. Unfortunately, somebody fires us every year. That's just the way it is. And or every couple of years, and you just find a new one, another one steps in to take their place and what have you. So we've been staying balanced and at the same number for years, and that's just the way it's been. It's been unfortunate.
Well, you've had a tremendous success in just listening to you. It's pretty clear. It's the work ethic that goes into it. It's just the know-how that's been passed down generation to generation. And again, if anybody wants to check out the website, get to know the Eddie Woods Training Center program a little bit more in depth, you can go to, I believe it's just eddiewoods.com.
Correct.
And you can check that out. I got to thank you so much for your time, because I know how busy it is right now.
Pleasure. Delighted to join you.
Oh, gosh. Thank you, Eddie. And everybody, I really hope you enjoyed this edition of the Future Stars Forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday featuring Eddie Woods. We'll be looking forward to Future Stars Friday, Citizen Bull, Thought Process, Ironman Cal, and then you got that whole older squad too that's gone through the program. But in the meantime, I do again thank you for your time, and I'll catch you guys here next week for the last edition of the season of the Future Stars Forecast. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.